Kelly told me that he was in one of his classes where they had to advocate, and he said his professor stopped him and said, "This is hell. This is law school, not justice school."
Was that what you wanted?
Yeah. I just got. Look at you.
I did this myself.
Crank the audio down.
I got it.
Are there any adjustments to the agenda? I don't think so. No. Review and approve board minutes of September 9th. Does anyone have any adjustments on the minutes?
I would like to offer an adjustment. That's
I'm looking for it here. I think it would be 6E, WNSU Board Meeting Review. And it's just a spelling. Lynn, Blackman, and Minitsky. That's Lynnne.
Lynnne for Lynn. Is that right?
Correct.
Got it. Thank you.
Anything else?
I also have one on page 3. I asked for student reps, not student reports.
Could I have a motion to approve the minutes as corrected?
I'll make a motion that we accept the September 9th minutes as amended.
All those in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
Motion approved. Communication and public comments. Area Community TV media proposal.
All right, this is really short. Okay, so part of public access is to provide live broadcasts to community facilities in our service area. So we had just recently won a negotiation deal with Comcast, and that's gone through. So they provided us with the funds to be able to upgrade any sort of major community facility like the high school, to be able to purchase specific equipment to allow these facilities, not only so that we can broadcast out to our public access channels, but to lay down those sort of, they call them a remote site, to lay down those sites. So just highlighting you on that, and as you know, to be a remote site, we go live through the internet, and that would be the choice to create a solid video connection through the internet, and then purchasing specific devices. And one of the areas that we would like to be able to do that and pay for the cost is the auditorium, to be able to run a sort of a solid Ethernet line under the carpeting or something like that, and have that in the middle of, where we usually set up a camera. And then also, in addition to that, to work with the WNSEU or whoever your IT guy is, to be able to set up. So right now we go live on YouTube, but we would like, and it requires the person that manages your network to be able to set up these devices so that that live video broadcast will go directly to our media server. So, and this is also for other WNSU buildings that want to do that. And I mean, I'll go to each board meeting, or I can talk to you, Chris, about sort of kind of setting that up. And I do need to talk, spend some time and kind of schedule a time where I can come down and we can have a discussion about what areas that, obviously what areas where we can set up an internet connection. Maybe there is an internet line in the gym. To be able to set up a solid line that people can have access to, and then the station can have access to. So.
And hardwiring is preferred.
It is, yeah. It's I can purchase technology for wireless, which would we hate wires. We try to. However, it's dependent upon your network and your wireless capabilities. So that's something that these are kind of the details that we can discuss and figure out what the best solution for this facility is.
Yes. So I think, you can go through Jen Cravino to schedule. I would be happy to be involved. Jim DeBell would want to be part of that conversation. Jamie Dansereau and Ricky Adams.
Yeah.
If we get all of us together with you, we'd
Absolutely.
be able to kind of sketch out options.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so the second part of that is to maybe just seed an idea, but it would have to be a conversation, with you to see what the needs of the school are, what you feel like you can handle or manage, and whether or not this would be something that you would would like to do.
Yeah.
And that would be quite simply, I mean, like, we're limited on staff and resources, but, our purview is to try to connect, the community through video and provide training and so on and so forth. So with the limited resources and staff, one of my solutions to be able to eliminate some of those barriers, to be able to get more students and faculty and people in the community involved with video production, is to try to figure out ways with organizations like the high school, the WNSU, to be able to come up with some sort of partnership whereby, so you have these remote live feeds that we're going to be installing, is to figure out what kind of camera equipment, if willing, that you guys would like to purchase, that you guys own and manage, whereby based on what the needs and what you think you can manage and the use that you get on the students, whereby I would consult, I would provide the training if needed on or off campus. I would troubleshoot. Fact TV would provide that, provide the consultation for purchasing the right equipment within the budget and within your needs. And so you would have sort of, maybe break it down, something, you could have a studio here if you want to go big. It just depends on what your needs are. But you could have a couple cameras like these. A lot simpler solution where you just, maybe if you have like an event at the auditorium and you want to go live and you have the student that's trained or the faculty member that's trained, you can just plug in the camera, call us up, we schedule that live feed in, and bam, it's live on Fact TV. We can put it out on Facebook, sort of creating awareness to school. If you wanted like a small little sort of studio that students and faculty can use, very cheaply, can do like a little news highlight of the school, maybe get some training on some video broadcast. Those options are all available. So the idea would be to come up with a solution, talk to you because you're the you know your school better than anyone else. You know what people are willing to do. Figure out something that you know whether or not it's doable. Start off small with one camera setup. And see, this is working. People are using the camera. I got. And the other goal is like, sporting events. We can't cover all the sporting events, but we have some great events that we could highlight that the community will want to watch. And if you guys had the equipment available, someone on the team or an assistant coach, they could take out the equipment. They don't have to, it's the location barrier going to Fact TV, taking out the equipment, going through all that stuff. You can film the events. We would figure out a way to easily make it turnkey, so when people are done filming, they can offload it on the computer, and we can put the graphics and what's needed, and distribute the content. So that's like kind of the big goal and the big vision. So hopefully, we can come up with a way where people have the tools right here and available, and we can help assist sort of getting that content out. And that would be, more detailed discussion with you on what you feel is necessary, and with faculty and staff. But I just wanted to kind of seed that idea.
Yeah, sounds good.
I'm sure you have my number, but
I bet I do, but I'll take that
I'll hand that
since
to
you got it.
So yeah, just give me a call. We can work out the remote site stuff, but if you can go into detail, and if you're interested, we can propose something to the board. If funding's an issue, I do have things lined up, possibilities for sponsorship to be able to maybe provide the seed funding for the school. That would be something that I think people would be interested in sponsoring to help the school out. So there's those options too. So
Good.
All right.
Thanks, Adam.
Thank you guys. Take care.
Thank you. Policies, we got any policies?
Yeah, John.
I begged to do the sports, and he said.
We don't have any policies, but just a quick update of the policies that we just got through looking at. And keep in mind, these are all hoping to be through SUI policies, so we're not dealing with a half a dozen different policy manuals. So just recently we looked at conflict of interest policy, board
Can I
agendas.
just interrupt for one moment? Isn't it your report first, and then principal, business manager, and then policy update?
Thank you.
Number 5 says
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
policy.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Policies.
Policies, if any. I did not see that. Never mind. Sorry. Continue.
Legislation, firearms, weapons, and the federal nutrition wellness policy. So the committee has gone through those. Some of these were just up for revisions. Some of them were adoptions. For instance, the conflict of interest policy, even though it is a policy, we haven't had one, and so that was went through the readings. firearms and weapons, they've been separated. So in the past, we've had a firearms and weapons policy, but they were one policy encompassing both. So those were first and second readings. And C9, the nutrition wellness policy, that was just a revision. So that's where we are with the policies.
Chris, your report.
Just a few updates. We've had quite a bit of professional development going on throughout the SU. So we have measured academic progress, the new local assessment common local assessment that we're doing for K through 10, K through 9 this year and K through 10 through next year. We'll have some more professional development in a few weeks. The most recent professional development we had around the measured academic progress was really showing the teachers, how to dig down deep into the data that they're seeing from it to make better decisions and based in challenging their students in the classroom based on the data we're seeing. So that was one of the professional developments we have. Another one that we had the first round of last week was the partnership that we have with Landmark College. This is the one that we sent one regular ed teacher and one special ed teacher through our professional development center and worked with Landmark College. And last week they met about understanding executive functioning, cognitive overload, and classroom applications. And that's going very well. The other day we had another round of professional development for the middle school and the high school around restorative practices in Tier 1 circles. And the whole basis of the Tier 1 circles is building relationships and better communication with our students and each other. And that's going very well. It's the first time in the past 2 times we've had the middle school and the high school come together. And this time we separate them out with the high school stayed here and did their training, and the middle school were at the middle school. So I was able to attend both and went very well. And it's going very well. I'm very excited about what we're doing here in the SU in regards to restorative practices. And Friday is Tech Boot Up Day. Tech Boot Up Day, for those of you who don't know, it's everything revolves around how we use technology in the classroom, and there are various pullouts where teachers can choose on what strands they want to go to. And then I believe for this SU, this is the 4th time they're having it. And so that'll be Friday. And I think that's about it.
Anyone have any questions for our superintendent? Okay, thank you. Chris, principal's report?
So a couple of topics to cover. First of all, the fall sports season is wrapping up. Boys and girls soccer both made the playoffs. They had away playoff games, and unfortunately they weren't successful there. But I will say for both programs, they probably had as successful overall seasons as they've seen in a while. So we're excited about that. Cross country wrapped up this past Saturday, and the boys did a great job. They came in, I think, 3rd or 4th overall. And the girls won another state championship. So another banner is going up in the gym, and I believe we had, I think we had the number 1 runner in Division 3. Or did we have the number 1 runner in Division 3?
Yeah, repeated her title.
Abby Broadley was the champion in Division 3 for our high school. So, and we are graduating no one from that team. So things are looking good for next year. We're not going to order 2 banners for the price of 1. We'll wait and let the season play its way out. But, we're bringing a strong team back. And field hockey and football, as always, have strong programs. They are still in the playoffs. Wednesday, the field hockey team goes off to the 2nd round of the playoffs. And I have to tell you...
Semifinals.
Right. And there's not necessarily there is a number 1 seed, but there's not a team that hasn't lost at least 4 games. So I would say that it's anybody's prize to be had. We upset South Burlington in the 1st round of the playoffs. They were the number 3 seed. We were the number 6 seed. That was the team that we beat in the state championship last year. So that bodes well for how our team is doing. And football will be taking on U32, scheduled right now for this Friday. But we're trying to be proactive about the weather. So again, right now it's Friday evening, up in the Montpelier area, but their field isn't in great shape, doesn't take water real well. So right now, we're trying to figure out how to manage that best. So,
And Chris, when did you say the field hockey semifinals, the next one is?
right, that's in Middlebury, and they've got the 6 o'clock game. If you follow field hockey, what has happened really for the past 5 or 6 years is, regardless of the seed, the semifinals are always played on turf someplace. So they have a 4:30 game in Middlebury and a 6 o'clock game in Middlebury, and then the championship is also typically at UVM on artificial turf. So, so that's
It's
field
this
hockey.
this week at Middlebury at 4:30. What day is that?
Actually, it's 6 o'clock and it's Wednesday. And if we win that,
It's against CVU, the number 2 seed.
Yeah.
And if we win that, we go to the final on Saturday at UVM.
so that's fall. And for the first time, we put announcements out about signing up for winter sports today. So we're trucking along. And the other thing that I'll talk to you about, and this has to do with the handout that I gave you. So we had our College and Career Awareness Day on October 16th. On that day, the freshmen go to visit a college, Castleton. Mr. Broadley went along with the Freshman Academy team on that. We do PSATs for both the 10th and 11th graders in the morning. In the afternoon, the 10th graders go to the Career Center, and I have to tell you that Scott Farr, the director there, was very pleased with how our students actively engaged in what he had to offer. He was psyched about that. The 11th graders, well, let me talk about the 12th graders get a kind of smorgasbord of things to do. We let students plan with their parents to go on college visits on that day, because sometimes that can be difficult to do. And we have a number of activities here related to transition from here to the career force. We have a visit set up with the National Guard to go explore those options. We have folks who are working on their senior projects. We have folks that are working on resumes and college essays. So that's, again, seniors have a range of things for them to choose from. The afternoon for the 11th graders is this, what's referred to as the Financial Reality Fair. And what I've given to you, just to give you a sense for that, is every 11th grader, we start in the auditorium. We have a number of representatives from a variety of credit unions in the area come and kind of run the show. And everyone is given one of these. And what this is a budgeting form. But if you take a look at this particular side of it, it tells you what your randomly assigned career is. And it gives you a lot of the important information that goes along with that. Your annual salary, your monthly pre-tax salary, your take-home pay, your credit score. And then on the other side is a lot of information that you will take the next couple of hours to go around in the gym and visit stations to determine what your housing situation is going to be, how you're going to manage the cost for food, your cell phone, your entertainment. There is a table to go get another part-time job. So if you aren't happy with your current income, you get to go and work with a couple of staff members there who support you in figuring that out. Transportation, there's a table for that. And the folks who work those tables, part of their tasking is to be that person who gets a commission off of your apartment or your car that you sell, or try to talk you into that phone plan that you don't really need, but doggone it, AT&T or Sprint or whoever would really love you to spend lots of money on them. There is a table for financial counseling. There is a table for Speedy John's Pawn Shop or something like that, where you can go get some more money by taking out a loan. There's a credit table. The kids really engage well with that. And what I tell them is your challenge is to go through, and if you take a look at the colored side of the paper, the ones with the R's, those are required lines to fill in. So if you take a look at the R's, there's housing, there's renter's insurance if necessary, there's transportation, auto insurance, gas, taxes, nightlife, food, clothing. You've got to go visit those tables and make some decisions around that. Most of the students early on realize if I get a roommate, that makes the housing that much easier. So they usually pair up or triple up. I think that's the most you can do. And what I tell them their chore is to establish a lifestyle that you genuinely want and have money left at the end of the month. And they really engage in that. Yeah.
What is the wheel of reality?
Oh, the fun. It's
What happened?
So what happens is there's, again, so it's a fun activity as well. They each get to go spin the wheel once. And it will have things like, you know, your,
Muffler.
you had a car accident.
Muffler.
And,
Any one of those.
you know, you have good insurance, but the deductible is $250. So you've got to factor that in. Or it might be you bought a lottery ticket and you won $100. One of the things that happens when you do that, you only get to spin it one, but you get this raffle ticket. What the credit union folks also do is, at the end of the whole activity, they draw for 2 like $50 gift cards for the students to something. So that also kind of makes it fun for them. So, again, this is the 3rd year that we have done this, and it really kind of captures the students' attention. They invest a lot of good energy in this. And by the way, it's great for, you know, we have, you know, students with significant disabilities that have paras that take them around and pair them up and go around, and they get a lot out of it, just like the student that is heading off to medical school ultimately, but maybe they were handed preschool teacher or physical therapist or environmental scientist. You know, they get randomly given their career path and they run with it. So,
That's cool.
so that's my report.
Thank you. Any questions for?
Oh, by the way, I'm happy to have these back unless you want to take them with you, but we'll just collect them at the end when
I think I know some adults who could use this.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Any questions for our principal? Thank you. Thank you, Chris. We'll move on to Edie.
All right, let me pass these out. I'm sorry they're not pretty. They're handmade on Excel out of the accounting system. Thanks, Mom. Here's a copy if you want one. So we're getting there. We're almost done with last year. Last year's reconstruction of the general ledger for 6 of the 7 districts. And with everything with the high school, you ended up with a surplus of $94,275.77. Now, there is a bill back from the SU for, tech services and for the 504 secretary. But that was $21,757. So that would come off of that, which leaves you $72,518.56. However, once we get the SU totally done, any surplus that is in the SU will be redistributed back to the schools. So you may end up being right back around the 94,000. So, I will keep you posted on how that goes, but we're finally getting there. The software does not print, as you can see, a decent report. It actually spits it out in Excel 2003. But we're dealing with it the best way we can. They are designing reports for us now. We've been getting some assistance for, having trainers come in. We're going to have more training. And hopefully through all of this, they'll figure out a way to speed up the software, because right now it's incredibly slow. Any questions?
Looks like none. Thank you, Edie.
Yeah, you're welcome. Sorry that it's taken so long.
It's no problem.
Plate.
Committees, we've had kind of a policy committee update already, Chris.
Yes, we're good with that.
Okay. And scheduled building and grounds meetings, we just had a walkthrough. Went through the grounds. Chris, you want to speak to this?
Yeah, so pretty much every year we make it a point to take buildings and grounds on a walk around, particularly as we are approaching our work on the budget. Again, the facilities are in very good shape. That certainly stood out to us as we walked around. I would highlight that the tennis courts, even though it feels like we may have just recently done some work on those, they are very close to due for some more attention. We pointed out some of those spots when we walked around. Again, whether or not that needs to happen before we have a next tennis season really kind of depends on how the winter goes and how the frost treats that space up there. But if you walked and looked at it now, the places that are the worst are right near the nets, which is where the ball generally doesn't land a lot when you're playing tennis. So again, if you look at it right now, you could play tennis on all four courts and you're not going to do any damage and you'll get true bounces and all of that. So, but it's definitely sooner rather than later going to need some attention. We talked about the track. The track is approaching what was its advertised useful life when we redid it about 17 or 18 years ago. But if you look at it, it is in no way, some folks were around for that and you go, 17 or 18 years ago, it's, and if you recall when we did that, they gave us 5-year increments of every 5 years you probably want to redo the surfacing of it and the painting of it, and we've kept to that cycle. But after 3 of those, they said, probably time to redo the whole thing. We are at that point, and it still looks good, so we're keeping an eye on that, but no panic button to be pushed on that. The press box up at the football field, if for no other reason, needs some attention because we have more and more interest of folks who want some press box time, and we had a playoff game this past weekend, and there was a web-based sports entity that was broadcasting it, and there really wasn't room in the press box. We set up a good spot for them up on the bank. It's a great view, and it worked for them, but that is a spot that probably needs some attention, expanding that press box, if not taking it all out and putting a new one in. But again, if you talk in terms of is it working? It's getting the job done. We are able to do our announcing from there. We're able to run the scoreboard from there. We just aren't the great hosts that we might want to be in terms of the space there. We walked down around the backfields. There has been some conversation about the possibility of putting a concession stand back there, but again, that would be more of a community-driven thing than driven by this board, just because it's way low on the priority list, but functionally speaking, there'd be a lot of good use out of it, I think. So something to think about. We walked on the stage, took a look at the auditorium. The sound system could use some attention. When we redid the stage, that is resurfacing it, it was clear that was the last time that was going to happen. So before we need to redo this stage, strip it down, refinish it, that we would need to replace that. But again, no one's going to fall through that on our production of Mamma Mia coming up here in the spring. So, so again, these are things that we are commenting on, paying attention to. But the big ticket item is the wastewater flow and the driveway and the parking lot. Later on this agenda, I'm going to ask you to approve a bid for the engineering work on that. And that will then give us a sense for the cost for that, along with the overall nature of that work. And I think I've mentioned to the board before that this may be the budget where we ask the taxpayers for, to support a loan, a bond for the money to pull that off, but more to follow on that. So anyhow, that's our walk around.
I have a question. Someone asked me if what the policy is on animals on the playing field, because they said they had seen a lot more animals lately, dogs being brought with people coming to
We
them.
are not super strict on that. So we just expect folks to clean up after themselves.
Okay, so there's no specific policy.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, there are some signs up there that basically ask you to kind of curb your pet, but we do not prohibit that from happening, kind of the standard societal expectation on keeping, your dog on a leash and cleaning up after them.
Okay, thank you.
Now that's me. If Sean Burke was here, he would probably tell you something different. He's our head custodian, but we understand and support that pets are part of the family, and that if folks properly, again, meet those standard expectations, there's not a problem with that.
Thank you. Mr. Clark, WNSU Board Meeting Review.
Okay, WNESU, there are really only two items, well, possibly three, that rise to the top. First off, we had a pretty comprehensive food service presentation. And I have to tell you, if you were in the room, I think you were quite impressed by Harley Round's overall of how that's going. Certainly, you may have your own insights here in this building, but certainly it looked to me like a place I would like to go for breakfast or lunch. And I believe that we're not tremendously underwater, about $38,000 maybe. The
Yeah.
number, Chris?
Around that.
Okay.
I think we're.
So
I think we walked away with $2,000 in the black, actually.
Yeah, but we budgeted, with all the schools together, 180,000 local share for assessment. We were worried we would eat that up plus more, but we didn't.
So we're doing well, both programmatically and financially. We did discuss the establishment of a transportation committee to look specifically at the busing. The suggestion was that we go out to the local districts to see if we can get some board members involved. I mention it here because we did have the conversation. My sense is it may be more relevant to the elementary, middle school level, because by the time kid gets here, many of them are driving themselves to school, which is less common in the elementary and the middle.
Unless you're in biking distance.
We did have a discussion about possibly finding a new site for the SU offices. That's still ongoing at the SU. We could go into executive session tonight for an update. I would recommend against it because it's still, a fluid situation. And certainly if there's anyone sitting at the table who has more of an interest, I would once again encourage members to attend the supervisory union board meeting, because all board members in the district are members of the supervisory union board, although each school has only 3 votes. So there's your SU report, Molly.
When is the next meeting?
Well, that's a matter of discussion. It's tentatively the night before Thanksgiving, but I think it's likely to get moved up a week.
Okay.
We're trying to probably move it up, I think it was to the 20th.
Okay. Thank you, David. Unfinished business or discussion, is there any? Okay. New business for discussion. Ratifies support staff contract.
And today, because the last meeting was canceled, today all the other boards have ratified the support staff contracts. We're just looking for the high school board to do the same for the support staff.
So we need a motion for that?
Yes.
I would like to make a motion that we ratify the support staff contract and direct the chair to sign on behalf of the board.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and
We have
seconded.
a brief review of the support staff contract.
Sure can.
What does it involve?
So, the big changes, and anyone from the committee, feel free to jump in. One of the big changes were, let's see. So, one of the biggest ones was that kind of held up negotiations for a few meetings, was we really wanted to get additional supervision on all the school buses. And so, one of the ways we were able to accomplish that is adding $2 onto their hourly wage, going from $1 to $2, in addition to whatever their current hourly wage is. Because past practice is that it was in the contract, but it wasn't really being enforced in regards to having support staff riding the buses. So we worked the language on that a little bit to, so now we are in agreement that we'll be able to get support staff on the buses. Making it more attractive and actually having people step up to do it is a different thing. So we're in the process of right now of trying to figure what that looks like in regards to which buses need the immediate support. Anyone from the committee, what was settled on the percentage? Does anyone recall?
Trying to remember. It's been
Well,
a few
it's in
weeks.
the doc is in the packet.
Oh, it is, yeah. It doesn't exactly state that. It gives a list of the new staff wage schedule is listed on the second page.
It looks like this. If you're looking in your packet, there's a summary of
Support staff, kind of a brief.
Page 10, I believe. It's the wage schedule.
That doesn't indicate how the
How much it went up.
current contract was changed.
Gotcha, yeah.
No, it doesn't.
I guess that's not important, is that it?
It is, but it wasn't listed.
It would be kind of nice to know
Right here.
if we, if it's knowable.
Sure.
Does anyone from the committee recall what
That's what
the
I'm trying to
percentage was?
remember.
Yeah.
That would be, looking it up.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. Let's see, where are we? It's been a few weeks.
I want to stick my neck out and say that I believe we went with an overall increase of 2% across the board on a one-year contract, and that the health insurance terms remain unchanged. And in the next breath, I just want to comment that as far as the statewide health negotiations go, they are now going to binding arbitration, so hang on to your hats.
So the specifics are as followed. There's a 2.5% increase on the support staff. Also, the paras are also, in part of the agreement, if they agreed to, paras will be required in attend all in-house professional development opportunities and in-service days. The supervision was added to the bus, and then we went from $1 per an hour to a $2 differential for those support staff. And that was pretty much it. There were a few things taken out that, because in regards to unions where they cannot charge non-members a fee, so that was taken out. And that was pretty much it. 2.5% and just a few of the other items.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor of ratifying the support staff contract, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Will you mark me down as abstaining?
Absolutely. approved bid for engineering design work for the driveway and drainage improvement.
So I've handed a number of these out to the Buildings and Grounds Committee. I have additional ones if folks would like to look them over, but we have bids for the engineering work to be associated with our wastewater management improvements and our driveway and parking lot paving project. Again, the starting point with all of that is this engineering work and both the understanding of the scope of the work and the cost. So the two bids were from Dubois and King and Stevens and Associates. Dubois and King had their foundational cost at $15,300 with some alternates to add in, including a topographic survey for $3,700 and underground utility locating services at $2,000. If we take a look at Stevens, their estimated total was $9,650. They had some optional services of $2,800 for investigating and base data phase for the subsurface, and an allowance for the excavation contractor of an additional $1,000. In short, both of the proposals met the expectations of the bid. We recommend that we go with Stevens and Associates, and we did do reference checks as well, and Stevens and Associates was the lower cost, met the expectations, and received good reviews. In particular, I believe Jim talked with Frank Rucker for Wyndham Southeast, and who have used those folks, and they worked well with them. So again, our recommendations is Stevens and Associates. But I do have multiple pages of their bids if you want to review the details.
Go ahead.
Madam Chairman, I'll make a motion that we go with Stevens Associates for the estimated improvements and engineering design for the driveway at $9,650 estimated total.
Do we need to add the other two figures
Well,
in?
I
Do we
think it
need
wouldn't be
those?
bad for us to be prepared for, to have the option to go to the top end, which is $13,450, which is still below the base of the other folks and keeps us below what is the bid threshold anyhow. So
What Mr. Hotston said I will
Okay.
go with.
$13,450.
Motion's been made, seconded. Anybody second?
Question. This bid is for re-engineering, for paving of the
The driveway, the
driveway
parking lot.
and the parking lots.
Yep.
The parking lots as existing currently?
Yes,
No, not any additional
it's
parking
not our
space?
plan to change that footprint.
Okay. How about on the sort of apron around the building or
Does
the,
not include that work either. So this is blacktop and making sure the water doesn't make lakes like it's been doing.
okay, and so, and not the sidewalk right in front of the? or
No,
the-
well, we've
it's-
done the sidewalk right in front of the school within the past 5 years.
Okay. I was just wondering what was in the scope of it.
Right.
Okay. And not going up to Hadley Field?
Not going up to Hadley Field, nope,
Okay.
nope.
Okay. Thank you.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you. Any other discussion or questions? Motion has been made and seconded to approve the bid for engineering design work for the driveway and drainage improvement. It is going to be Stephen and Associates, and the amount was
$3,450.
$13,450. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any appointments tonight?
I do not.
No need for executive session?
There is not.
Director's comments. Brenda,
I have none.
Colin?
I just want to say that over the last several months, our fall sports programs have been very impressive and it's just an honor to be a part of this board, but also live in this community. it's been I've been very impressed. I've sat back and said to myself, wow, our students are, we have really good athletes at this school, and this little corner of the state really does shine when it comes to our sports program. So I just want to congratulate the fall program.
Deb?
No, I have none, thanks.
No.
Stephen?
All set.
David?
No, I'm all set, thank you.
Steve? Alright,
I'm all set.
Okay. Thank you very much. We have, if you want anything on the agenda for the next board meeting, just contact Chris or I. The next board meeting we have on the agenda is November 11th. There is no school that day. We would like to change it to November 25th.
And that's the next
Wait.
possible date, because Rockingham has the prior Monday taken up and the Monday after the 11th taken up, so that just leaves us with the 25th.
25th is the fourth,
That-
fourth Monday?
Yes.
I'd like to make, can we make a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Thank you.
Okay, that's